thanks to D4 builds, they've given us the skill tree for the Warlock. I usually put my builds across on Mobilytics, but they haven't got this available yet. So I'll run through the skill tree that I think will be absolutely awesome for leveling into the mid game and maybe even into the end game for the Warlock. The skill tree looks like this. I have Command Fallen, which is a basic demonology and less of demon, which generates wrath. Now, resource generation for any build is pretty important, but I think there's one in particular because the Warlock has two resources, one of them being domination and the other being wrath. The domination, this ticks up slowly by itself, about 1 per second. I think the original max is 30. You can maybe increase that. I don't know yet. But to be able to cast your Archfiend skill, you'll need to have dominance. So I have in my twigs, so this is the branch and this is the twig. Every 15 enemies you hit with Command Fallen, you gain 1 dominance. On the top twig, I've got Wrath. Command Fallen generates an additional Wrath for every demon or enemy you've killed in the last 2 seconds, up to an additional 5 Wrath. And then for the modifier, I've taken Fallen Army. Command Fallen now summons up to 3 Fallen Grunts for 20 seconds, which deal 48% and generate 10 Wrath per hit. That's a lot. So the more Fallen you've got, the more Wrath you get per second. Not per second, per hit. Recasting while they're active will direct them to move or target upon your command. Command Fallen is now an Abyss skill. So I think that this little node here, a lot of people will be doing something similar to be able to get enough, perhaps dominance, but certainly wrath. Now in for the core skill, I went for Dread Claws. Core, Demonology and Abyss. For the top twig, damage, every second you gain 20% multiplicative increased damage for your next Dread Claw up to 100%. And this has got a wrath cost of 30, so the more wrath that you generate, the more you'll be able to cast. Then for the bottom twig, I've got Dread Claws make enemies vulnerable for 5 seconds if you strike them at least twice. And then for the modifier, Dread Claws are cast around you, each dealing 100% damage, and you consume 1 stack of Shadow Form, and also can claws around your most recent Greater Demon summon. So you'll be running around, smacking everything, and these Dread Claws are cast around you, which should mean that it'll be hitting more enemies, so you'll gain a lot more damage. Then for the defensive, I've went for Nether Step, which is actually a mobility skill as well, because we all want to move fast. We'll see how it comes up into gameplay, because this does have a cooldown. So to be able to have some cooldown reduction will be a definite plus. So here you step through the shadows of hell to emerge at the target location, gaining 4 stacks of Shadow Form, as well as 100% increased movement speed, which decays over 2 seconds. And in conjunction with this, on the top twig, I've had damage reduction. So you get 100% damage reduction that decays alongside its movement speed. So for 2 seconds, you've got 100% damage reduction. And if you can get that cooldown down to 2 seconds, you're permanently 100% damage reduction. Now, is that possible? I don't know yet. So the bottom twig, I've went suck enemies into the exit portal, swap places with them. Boss is an unstoppable take 1000% damage. And then for the modifier, I went Nether Step brings all your Abyss summons with you. So that's including any Abyssals, any Archfiends, and extends the durations by 3 seconds, which means it means more hits and more Wrath and more Dominance. Then for the Archfiend, I went with Rampage. It's an Archfiend, Demonology, summon and a Greater Demon. And the Dominance cost is 10. So if you've got a maximum of 30 Dominance, you can cast this 3 times within a relatively short space of time. Summon a Rampaging Brute for 10 seconds. This smashes wildly, dealing 128% damage per hit, with a 5% chance to eviscerate enemies for 2,560% damage. That's huge. For the top twig, I've said killing an enemy or demon with Rampage increases its damage by 20% for 3 seconds, up to 20 seconds. For the bottom twig, I've went Rampage has a 100% chance to eviscerate elite enemies that are already not eviscerated. And then for the modifier, I went Rampage summons a larger demon that increases 50% multiplicative increased damage. Recast to command the demon to leap around the battlefield, dealing 192% damage. Rampage is now an Abyss recast skill. Now, I don't know every time that you recast if it costs additional dominance. I'll have to wait and see until we get into the live game to see this in action. Then as a sigil, I went for the Sigil of Summons, which is a cooldown of 15 seconds. Create a binding ritual for 10 seconds. So it's up for 10, but down for 50 and then 15. So you really need to have a cooldown reduction that takes this to 10 seconds, and it'll be up 100% of the time. Create a binding ritual for 10 seconds that extends the duration of your summons. Spot on. Killing 8 enemies or demons within fuels the ritual to summon a demon for 20 seconds, which attacks nearby enemies, dealing 60% damage per hit. You can have 3 demons active at once. Then for the top twig, enemies within the Sigil of Summons take 25% multiplicative damage from your lesser demons. And on the bottom, I went Sigil of Summons active cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds when your greater demon dies. And as a modifier, Sigil of Summons now requires 12 kills to summon up to 2 dark succubi, which fire abyssal blood stars, dealing 90% damage and inflicting enemies to take an additional 180 damage when they try to attack. It's now an Abyss skill. But the Sigil of Subversion is also interesting. But I haven't chose this. I'm going to start with the Sigil of Summons and see how it goes. And then for the ultimates, I went for Terror Swarm. Ultimate, Demonology, Abyss, Greater Demon, the cooldown of 30 seconds. Summon a terror from the depths that deals 500% damage and spews a voracious swarm that deals 100% damage per bite for 15 seconds. So it's only up for like half of that cooldown. If you can get the cooldown of the ultimate down to 15 seconds, this ultimate will be up 100% of the time. Then for the left twig, I've went pull. Terror Swarm periodically pulls enemies into the center of the swarm. For the right twig, I've went with Terror Swarm makes enemies vulnerable and takes 20% increased damage from your Archfiend skills. And then as a modifier, Terror Swarm stays around you. So the more you run, this is going to actually keep with you. 100%, 170% damage per hit. Terror Swarm is now a Hellfire skill. So I think the synergies between these is going to be damn good. So you've got increased damage to your Archfiend, and your Archfiend is already damn powerful. Eviscerate enemies for 2,560% damage, and then you've got another 20% damage on top of that. Wow. We'll see how it runs in gameplay. But this is going to be my suggestion for the leveling build for Warlock in the expansion. This whole thing is just so exciting. It's going to be an awesome season because you know that the Warlock is going to be overpowered. No doubts in this whatsoever. So now, obviously, the skill tree is one thing, but as you're leveling up, you will also need gear. And the gear is what I would strongly suggest you put in anything that's actually more powerful than you've got already. And that generally means green stuff. When you do your little comparison, if it's green, it's good. But I wouldn't be too fussed about exactly having all these aspects on it. I'm thinking the same as it was last season, that you'll be able to get to level 70 with a minimal of work, really, and relatively quick. You're probably going to be in the Hell Tides. You might do some nightmare dungeons to get some of the actual aspects, but I'm guessing it's going to be pretty easy to actually level up. So I've got here for the runes, I've got Moni, Lum, Moni, so you cast 2 mobilities and we'll be doing mobilities quite often. And Lum to give you extra resources. Don't know how this is going to work for domination, but we will see. And then I've got Seer, because I like wolves. And I'm guessing that the more minions, the better for these things. At level 15, you're going to get to do the Warlock side quest to be able to open the shards up. So at level 15, open up your shards. Then don't forget to take your medicines, whenever it becomes available. Level 10 is the first, and then level 50 for the incense. But does that change with the expansion? I don't know yet. It's all things that we're going to find out. So don't fuss too much about your gear, not until at least sort of when you're reaching level 70 and be able to run through some of the torment levels. That would be my suggestion, and that's essentially what I'm going to be doing. You'll be running through the seasonal ranks. We still don't know what the season's going to be like right now, but we will have a season, so we'll have fun. One thing that I haven't included in the build guide is the talisman system, because we don't really understand 100% yet about what it's going to be for the Warlock. But when it is, it's going to be a game changer, undoubtedly. As you see in this example here, you can have a 2-set bonus, a 3-set bonus, and there will be a 5-set bonus as well. For the 2 and 3 sets, there are 6 actual slots. We're not sure whether you can actually put 3 times 2 in there or 2 times 3. We're just unsure at this minute. I'm thinking after the developer live stream next week, we'll know better. Then, of course, we've got the fan favorite of the Horaldic Cube, but that is a whole different video completely, because that is massive. a massive change to the game. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye now.